Troy, a lot of people have difficulty when it comes to reading their Bibles daily. Have you encountered that as a preacher? People asking you, how can I be a better Bible student?
Oh, yes, that's a very common thing.
To somebody starting out reading, one of the things I heard this years ago that I just thought was really, really interesting is that there's 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs. And so to encourage somebody that if you'll read a chapter a day, every day, that you will be able to read the entire book of Proverbs in a month. Now, sometimes you have to read 2 chapters on that last day, or if it's that February, you might have to read 3.
Right.
But it's a great way to get somebody to read in their Bible. And so I did that for several months in a row, and I loved it. And every now and then I'll challenge myself to that again, because Proverbs is one of those books that whenever I get done reading, I'm just always encouraged to live my life better.
Yes, it's a great book for that very reason. It's those antidotes of how to live your life.
And it's not to take away from any other book of the Bible, but it's one that's so, in my opinion, easier to understand and apply the lessons. They just jump out at the page. But they also leave you asking some questions. And we got a question that came in from the book of Proverbs.
Okay.
It wants to know, does Proverbs 22:6 guarantee that our children will be faithful if we do a good job of raising them? And so, excellent question. Let's read the verse. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So, to answer this question, does it guarantee that our children will be faithful? The simple answer is no. I wish it did, but that's not exactly what it's saying there.
Yeah, the book of Ecclesiastes kind of tells, the book that comes after it, Ecclesiastes, kind of takes that away. There are no guarantees.
Exactly. And one of the greatest principles we have to understand in this is that there is a thing called free will that God has given us. That even though as a parent at times, I have 2 sons, I would love to kind of be able to control them. Ultimately, I cannot. They still have free will. They have to make their decisions whether to follow after God or not. And there are going to be a lot of influences in their life beyond my influence when they go to school, when they go to workplace, when they date, when they get married. There's so many friends that they have, and there's so many variables that could come into play when it comes to whether or not they're going to choose to follow after God.
Exactly.
But it doesn't take away the principle of what he's teaching here.
No.
The principle is that you have a great bearing as a parent about your children believing in God or not. And that's why in Romans chapter 1, it talks about the idea of unrighteousness, being disobedient to parents. You as a parent, you have the responsibility to make sure that your children learn the principles of answering to authority. Because what is Christianity all about? Learning to submit to God.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't learn to submit to a parent, are they going to learn to submit to God? So, you have the greatest influence on this, but unfortunately you don't have the only influence.
That's exactly right. And I think Jesus teaches that in the parable of the seed and the sower. There's one source, and that's exactly what's being said in Proverbs. There's one source of truth. There's one source of what we need to be doing, but it doesn't mean everybody is going to follow that. And so he gives 4 different scenarios in the seed and the sower principle or parable there, the principles that are in there, and not everybody's going to follow. But the point is that you were making earlier is that we still need to plant that seed in our children. We need to try to do everything we can to water it and nurture it. And, to me, that verse kind of reflects in my own life is I kind of wandered away for a little while, but that seed was there, and eventually it came out, and then I came back to the Lord. And so that verse came true in my own life.
I think the parable of the prodigal son brings this out,
mm-hmm.
that sometimes even when you raise your children right, they can make that free will choice to go pursue unrighteousness or serve Satan for a while. But don't hold out hope, because your influence upon them, teaching them, showing them what it is to love God, that there's hope that they can return. That's what the verse is trying to teach us.